One, there's Carter Allen. Looks like
Carter
we're live. It says we're live.
There he is.
Quickly unmute Carter Allen.
Hey,
Unmuted. Hello, everyone. We're live. I'm Bradley J. And boy, this looks like a lot of fun going to happen here. We're here to celebrate a gig coming up with Shake the Faith. That's right. The Shake the Faith. Casey, Jesse, and Todd are with us, as are Chachi and Carter Allen. Long
yeah.
Good to
Hey,
see you,
everyone.
Carter Allen. How you doing, brother?
I'm all right. I'm doing good. You know, I'm throwing a luau for Charles Lacudera tonight, and the crowd is into their second round of blue drinks, and it's getting loud out there. So if it does get too loud, let me know, and I'll close a couple doors.
Nah.
Okay. It makes it sound like
I think Carter, the loudness and the party and the idea that you're in the room with Charles tonight, it's all magic, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, I mean, I could drag him in here later if you want. You know, he was always in bed when we were doing the shows, though. So I don't know how much he would remember, but yeah, we'll bring him here. We'll drag
all right.
him.
So there's Chachi. We haven't said much to Chachi. How you doing?
Hello, gentlemen. A pleasure to see everybody. Our friends from Shake the Faith, Carter Allen, former co-worker who I love dearly, and of course Bradley J. wearing his channel shirt, which has a lot of history with this band.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about that as well. So I guess the main event here is to talk about the gig and get everybody excited about the gig. So who wants to tell us about the gig? Casey, how about you?
Okay. So we're playing this gig. That's it. No, we're playing. we're playing a gig down in Norwood.
Hey, thanks for setting this up, Bradley. It's been awesome.
Well, fuck you.
We'll see you guys later. No, it's, November 5th down in Norwood in the Norwood Space Center at the Magic Room. And we've practiced, 3 times, guys?
At least, yeah.
Yeah, 3 times. We haven't killed ourselves. We don't suck completely. First rehearsal was better than I expected. Second rehearsal was bumpy. Third rehearsal sounded really good. And then the last rehearsal, we started working on some new stuff. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun. We only do this like every, 7 years?
Like
if we're lucky. The first one, I mean, we went from 89 until 99 the first time. And then a couple years, I think, Casey, it was like, it was a long time. We did the thing in Providence, and then a long time elapsed. And then it was the 2011 was the Magic Room. And then 2021, the Magic Room, and only a couple of, gigs, I think, between then. So
yeah, we did a couple things at the Paradise too. So yeah, but I think if you, our motto is if you gig every 5 or 6 years, you stay pretty fresh.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to play any more than that. You might get worse.
No, that'd be too much of a grind.
So Carter Allen has a real rich history with you guys. Carter, why don't you talk about your interactions with this band? There was the Rumble, and there were the interviews.
Well, there was a single first, right?
Thank you. Nice.
And then there was the EP. Boom,
yes,
boom, boom. Damn it, you should have gotten a major label deal in that. I'll tell you that.
Thank you.
And what's interesting, guys? I mean, how often do you get to listen to your records that you had? And when I heard you were doing the show and we were going to do this Zoom thing, I said, wow, I haven't listened to Shake the Faith for a long time. So I got the records out and I started listening to them again. And I remembered Skip on the Record was a big BCN song for us.
Yeah.
And it's one of those songs, and it won't go away now. It's haunting me again, which I guess is a good thing.
Right.
You know what, Carter? It might be my favorite Shake the Faith song.
Yeah. This is a great
really
album.
good song.
I mean, you listen to stuff that you haven't listened to in 20 years, and it's like, wow, the songwriting in here was great. It's a little bit of the splashy 80s production, but everybody was doing that. The guitar, everything is in there. I mean, Wild World, great rocker. I mean, this was a great album. And I opened this EP up, and I still have the it's not like liner notes. It's a promotional thing that I wrote that I forgot I had written for you guys. So, which is pretty cool.
That is cool.
And you did the Rumble in 1987 as well.
We did, didn't we?
You know what, Carter? I think I have the longevity record for Rumble appearances.
Yeah, how many?
I've never been to the finals.
Uh-huh.
My first one, I've done 5. My first one was with finger paint in like 84. Jesus.
Nice.
Wow.
Awesome.
And the last
Holy
one,
shit, you're prepared.
I try.
the last 2.
You guys are professional, Case.
I'm
We're
sorry.
dealing with professionals, man.
The fourth one was the very last BCN one at the Middle East with a band called New Alibis.
Uh-huh.
And then it was ZLX.
Right.
When Angel was doing it with Diablo Gatto in like 2017 or 2018. And the thing's fucking rigged, man.
Yeah.
I've never won. I mean, I've never even been to the finals. Twice gotten through as a wild card.
With company.
Hey, didn't we? Wasn't it that when we played? Wasn't it at Spit?
It was at Spit.
And didn't we win the best road crew award?
We did.
Yeah, we
We didn't have a road crew. We won.
won the road crew.
Yeah, we got the beer too.
Carter, how long
Wild
were
card.
the Rumbles at Spit?
Man, I'm not sure. I know we did 2 of them at the Rat, and then we went to Spit. So
For a long time.
probably, let's see, that would have been 81, and then oh, there's a whole room full of people here. Hey, say hi to Charles.
What's going on?
No
Hey,
way.
How are
Charles.
you doing?
Here, Charles.
My God, look at all
You
those.
have a blue drink.
Oh my God, Chachi, Loprete, all those famous
There's
people.
Bradley, and that's
Yeah.
Faith.
And I have Chuck Nolan behind me.
Hey!
And John Hickey.
Howdy.
Yeah.
Oh, the party.
Is this the Red Sox game?
Yeah.
Hey, are we on delay?
No.
Oh, you're live.
You can say fuck if you want.
You're live, Charles.
Did you say that?
Yeah, you can. It's all right. But who else?
I always wanted to say fuck on the radio.
There you go.
All right. Chuck said fuck.
Blue and drinks.
I only recognize.
Say Chachi. Say hi.
I see Chachi.
Chachi.
Hey, how you doing,
Chachi.
Sandra? How are you?
That's
Hey, how are you?
my lovely wife, Carrie.
Here's Carrie.
Hey. How are
Hi,
you?
everybody.
Is this the first time ever that Bradley J is speechless? I haven't heard a word from him.
I'm just being good. There's no room. It's fine. I know.
He already realizes
I
it's
know
not.
my
I'm
place.
sorry, but this is all making me feel like I fucking relapsed.
Oh, man.
And the show's called Jay Talking, and we haven't heard anything from the guy. So
I'm Bradley J, and you guys are talking.
He's facilitating our discussion.
easiest
fine.
show ever.
So,
There's such a comedians on and let them go.
you know, I have great memories of the lunchtime shows, and you guys did a lunchtime show, right?
Yeah.
I think a couple of them.
What was that like playing a gig at noontime?
At the channel.
Yeah, it was
So
at the
much
channel,
fun.
yeah.
Let John feed them all.
So we did one at the channel and one at Celebration, right?
I need people to feed me the lines. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Is that right? We did one at the channel and one at Celebration, or
I don't remember the
Yeah,
celebration. one.
Celebration, Narcissus, whatever.
Narcissus,
The
yeah.
upstairs room.
We did one on a boat.
Yeah, the boat.
yeah, those are
We
great.
did one on a boat.
The freaking
I
cruise.
remember, when can I talk?
You gotta wait for a moment.
All right, tell me when I can talk.
But now's a good time. Go,
Okay.
go.
So I remember the rule from Mark Parento.
Mark, that's right.
He's talking and is waiting to talk. So now you guys wait to talk because I want to tell you about like my trip to let's see, Honolulu. No,
I can mute you, you know.
Cheers.
There you go. The power of the button. There you go. So, that's cool. Doing a gig at noontime, can you do that? I just never understood how that was possible.
They were awesome.
You managed to do it. Did a lot of people? That was the Marshmallow Fluff Day, right? It's a channel.
We did 3 of them. You know, those shows were amazing. I saw Cyndi Lauper at a lunchtime show.
Yeah,
I saw
yeah.
Screaming Blue Messiahs at a lunchtime
Wow.
show. You'd hit the stage and there would be like 1,000 fucking people out there at the channel.
Yeah.
You know,
like that.
I don't understand. There's no delay.
How can you swear right there? Why? So is it?
There we go. Isn't that nice?
1, 2, 3. Fuck. There you go.
as
All
I
right.
was saying,
Well, and those were the days where you get your first Miller beer for free too.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Do that anymore, can you?
No,
None of them are really free, Chachi.
Cold hot dogs.
speaking of back in the day,
But
I'm gonna ask you guys and Carter and Chachi this too,
So-
to kind of talk about not to be too serious, talk about the excitement that was in the scene in the 80s, which doesn't really exist anymore. It's difficult to describe, but we all knew it was there.
How about we
feels like
include
they
it? You
can
got
do
the really want.
Bradley, do you really want to stay here all night? Because Jesse and I can go on for days on this topic.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
I personally just, from my end, I mean, I was a kid, fell off the potato truck in Boston. I moved down from Maine. I bump into these guys, the loose story as I get in with this incredible lineup. And, really early on in that, I'm introduced to Chachi and Charles and Carter, and I'm doing TV shows. And the next thing you know, we're playing a lunchtime show at Celebration, which was upstairs at Narcissus, or the big room, that big open room. One of the most famous moments. You talk about a scene. Is that we're doing our record release party. There's a line. We get to sound check. We go to sound check. We finish up sound check. We look outside. There's a line down the street in the middle of a day, and it's shitty weather, mind you. It's not a great day, and it's the middle of the day. And this is Boston in 80, whatever it was, 86 or 87. Have an incredible moment. One of the best memories I had was me. So after the show, I look over at Chachi during that show, and literally shit is falling out of the rafters in Narcissus from our sound man, Jeff, just, riveting the place. And Chachi's like looking like this. Everybody in the BCN staff is kind of looking at the stage, like this. Afterwards, Casey and I decide that the sun comes out. It's one of my fondest memories. The sun comes out on Kenmore Square on like a February afternoon. He and I sit in Kenmore Square drinking, shite beer out of a bag on the rest of the day. That was like our day. And it's like you just can't do that anymore. I don't know where would that happen?
So you can't drink outside anymore.
You can't drink outside. You can't go to a rock show at noon. You can't get a free beer when you go to the rock show at noon.
Could you ever drink out? I don't remember you could ever drink outside.
Well,
you can still drink outside on the DL.
Yeah. It's funny because when you think of, so I moved to Boston in 1976, right? So I have seen it all. And I remember getting our first gigs at the Rat, for instance, like just as like some shitty punk band from Vermont, and getting paid as like the opening band of 4. And then, getting paid like $50. That was just kind of the way. It was like always this thing that the club owners wanted to treat the bands right, and then it kind of progressed through the 70s into the 80s, into the late 80s, and then all of a sudden it just kind of stopped. Right, the scene just kind of imploded, and it turned into kind of that free to play kind of scene. And you can play here if you bring a bus in from Scituate with your friends.
Why did that happen, you think?
I'm
Was
going
it
to disagree
the
with you.
DJ culture that made that happen?
Say that again.
Was it the DJ culture that killed the bands getting treated properly?
I don't know.
May I jump in here, please?
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Because my perspective might be a little different because I've remained very active in shitloads of bands for the last 20 years. I'm in a band now, and I play with considerably younger people. There was such an infrastructure, and it was a generational tribal thing too, where everybody was really into guitar-driven rock and roll, or even synth-driven, and the whole punk thing exploded there. The idea was anything was possible, and creatively you could do anything. And there would be bills with, on a big level, the Ramones and Blondie and Talking Heads, and on a smaller level, what was punk was really an open palette, and that changed. Now we have people who think the Dropkick Murphys are a punk band. They're not. The Dresden Dolls were a punk band,
Mm-hmm.
but that whole infrastructure of BCN out here, K-Rock on the West Coast, where you guys made us fucking huge. It's one thing to be heard on a local show the first time you hear yourself on the radio, which is amazing. But when you hear yourself drive time between Bruce Springsteen and Def Leppard, that's really amazing. And that's why 1,000 people were in the channel.
Right.
And we had the Phoenix, we had the Noise, we had Boston Rock. And I was working as the managing editor at Soundcheck Magazine between 97 and 2005 and watched the whole Napster thing. It was kind of the beginning of the end. You know, Casey, you talk about money. I don't know that Jimmy Harold or Harry Boris really were great benefactors of the arts. They were happy because we could put asses in the room consistently. It was about commerce. It's still always been about the mansion on the hill.
Mm-hmm.
And the business element, which, I mean, I could go on forever. There is something to be said for there are very good bands of all kinds and really good hip hop artists. There's all kinds of shit happening, pounding it out in basement shows in much smaller clubs. The scene was getting crushed as far as clubs before COVID. But now we've lost Once Ballroom and we've lost Great Scott, which were both pretty much independent, not, complete Clear Channel rooms that were hosting great local bills and hosting indie level tours, and they're gone. The Abbey Lounge is gone. The Middle East is still there. Who knows? TT's is gone. And I think this is happening all over the country, and it has to do with property development and Boston, which was a magical place. The shit that happened that we shared under that shit, under the Sitco sign was magic.
So not every venue is gone forever. Magic Room exists, and you're going to be filling that place up on
Absolutely.
November 5. Tell us what to expect.
Well, absolutely. Rock and roll is moving out to the suburbs. It pushed us out. It's at Magic Room. It's in Salem. It's in Lowell. It's in Providence. Providence is happening. So what to expect at the Magic Room? I've talked enough. Somebody else want to field this?
Todd, go ahead. Let everyone know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, well, like I said a little bit earlier, I'll reiterate that the Magic Room does have a little bit of magical history with us. So when we first got together, I was kind of fresh into the town, and I was freelancing as a carpenter, and we met Bill Desmond, who goes by Des, who was getting the then Sound Museum started, which was a proponent of all these bands that happened back then, rehearsal studios. And so I helped. We found a room in one of Des's early buildings right under there. Remember, Case, right along 93, right along the corridor, that building that we were in?
Oh, yeah.
I worked for Des, building a bunch of doors and putting in ramps and trying to do, upgrades to make these spaces possible. We just stayed friends. So when we set out to do a reunion in 2011, it just sort of naturally happened. It just made sense to talk to him. He had the Magic Room in Brighton. We did that. It was a benefit for Abel Harris Foundation. It's a scholarship now, and the Abel Harris Fund, and that tied together that scene that we were in, and the people that ran Bunratty's, and we were all really close to that. So this past year, COVID hit, and Des was trying to get his new Magic Room. Of course, he's been developed out of Brighton. That building that he was in got, who knows, sold for $1 bazillion, and it's probably going to be, condos or whatever.
Just as an aside, didn't Harvard buy it as part of their kind of?
I really don't know, but yeah.
Anyway,
Des did tell me that it got bought for development, or he sold for development purposes.
Yeah.
So, one thing leads to another. It's COVID. We're all locked down. Nobody's doing shit. We had gotten, if you remember, guys, we had gotten asked to do the channel 40th kind of reunion show, right? And everybody's stoked about that. Is that like that was just going to be an amazing string of gigs, and it gets canned. And so Des kind of says, "Hey, I'm doing this new room. I think I'll be ready. You know, if this COVID thing ever goes away." One thing led to another. A year goes past, and Des, and you know, it just made sense. So, Magic Room is Des's love child, if you call it that. It's full of his, you know, idiosyncrasies and his collectibles and all his artwork and stuff he's, you know, done over the past. But what I know about it, I haven't been there physically yet. Chachi's been to the room. Is that he's done an amazing job of making this about the presentation. And Carter, that goes back to our interview with you about the band having a, you know, a way we present things. And he bought pieces of the most famous sound systems in Boston. He's got bits of Axis, you know, the old Axis sound system, and he's built an amazing, you know, performance, kind of a mini theater, I guess. Chachi, would you say it's kind of like his vibe?
It is a very unique venue. I think Magic Room is a good description of it. There's nothing else like it. It's a cool environment. It's in the Norwood Space Center, just steps away from the David Bieber archives. Tickets are on sale. We're going to have a ton of fun November 5th. I love Shake the Faith. Many years have gone by. I've always been a fan, and I seem to recall that it was people knew that I loved cream soda, Bradley J. And I think it was Shake the Faith that sent me like 15 cases of cream soda as a thank you after a lunchtime show.
Yeah, we couldn't afford Coke.
Nobody could afford Coke.
Well, remember, Chachi, I think we had to get sent over from, you know, Shaw's or something.
Yeah, exactly. And I still remember. But if I may read this for a second, this band is good, it says. Leave your visions of drum machine and synthesizer programmed rock at home, because Shake the Faith isn't a mechanized bunch of automatons humming along on stage. They are three fiery rockers who bash the best sound systems to bits. This is rock, primal, and professional. This is a power trio lifted from pretentious 60s roots to an exciting dance powerhouse. Carter, who wrote that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be me, right?
Carter wrote it.
And thank you, Carter, for writing that. That's really cool. You know, if we are able to, it's funny when we practice, right? We always compare to like what the real band was. We don't sit around and go, "Oh man, you know, for 50 and 60-year-olds, that's pretty good," right? It's got to be. We're trying to lock in back to kind of when we felt we sounded the best. So we're going to try to bring that to the show, and you know, it's not going to be some old man version of ourselves. It's going to be the way we think we are in our minds, the age we are in our heads, man.
All right, that's Friday, November 5th. Is that a Friday?
That's a Friday night.
Yeah. Friday
Carter,
night.
they live up to their name of that description of a power trio.
I just
remember a lot of sound.
I think you guys are right on top of it, because that was 1987, and Casey, you were in New Models before that, which had more of a keyboard thing going on.
Yeah.
And that was the sound through the mid 80s, early 80s and the mid 80s. But as we got in the tail end of the 80s, things were definitely getting harder. I mean, it's getting harder for a lot of bands. I mean, you had some of your music sounded a lot like the Cult, that you know, guitar sound that they were getting at, and even like, you know, that when the hair bands started coming on, they were you know, very commercial, but they were rocking out. So things are definitely changing. We were moving out of that keyboard thing more into a guitar thing, really the precursor of what would become grunge eventually, just 4 years later. So you really were you were kind of ahead of the curve on that. And
you know, interestingly, Carter, it's funny.
Look where it got us, Carter.
Yes.
No, interestingly,
we paved the path for everybody else.
Towards the end of New Models, right?
Yeah.
Even like while we were still going, but you know, a band you can feel like when the end is coming, right? Yeah. I had been writing the demo that was a lot of the stuff that changed because we played it together, but I was writing the demo at home. That became our first Shake the Faith record. Like I was already and I love new models, so don't get me wrong, but I was already kind of moving in a different
Right.
direction.
Would you have tried to get the new? Would you have tried? Did you present that stuff to the new models?
No, and it's not a slight on new models. It was just time for a change.
Right.
We'd kind of knocked our head against the wall for 5 years and had a great run, and we're like really close a lot to kind of the deal.
Right.
When we were managed by the same folks as the Cars and Tom Petty and stuff. And, it's just one of those things. Sometimes it goes and sometimes it doesn't. And it didn't. And, as I was getting towards the end of that, and we all were, right? It wasn't like I checked out and everybody else was all rah. We talked about this, but it was just I was starting to write songs like Already Gone and was kind of shifting my look more to the guitar based stuff. And even like, some of the stuff like, Johnny Mars and like, How Soon Is Now and stuff from even a few years earlier, you could feel some of the shift already happening and moving toward guitars with some keys in it, but it wasn't just like a whole keyboard, like, haircut 100 or something, which I've had 100 haircuts, as you can tell.
I mean, there was a time there in the early '80s when the guitar was like the out instrument. It was like, wow, we thought that they might be replaced,
But interestingly, and I talk about this with my wife and these guys all the time. Like, when I am in the car and I turn on like Sirius XM, for instance, I'm on like Ozzy and Liquid Metal, and stuff. And when I actually go to like the alternative, right? The whatever the alternative stations, sometimes you hear guitars, but then the one that's like the newest alternative. Yeah. Hello, is there a guitar in there? Anybody, please? I got a Marshall amp sitting over here. It's like they don't know what that is.
Bring your keytar to rehearsal.
Yeah.
So you guys going to really bring it on Friday, the November 5, right? You promise.
We promise.
Absolutely.
That's the goal.
Absolutely, with a terrible impunity.
Before we leave, I want to urge everyone who sees this live and who sees it after the fact to not only go to the show, but please share it. As a talk radio host, I would always hear about there were no gigs, there were no good bands. Right. Now there are both of those things, and you better get your butt out there.
Thank you, Carla. Happy birthday to you.
Well, before we go, if I could say a couple quick things. First of all, I don't remember any of these lunchtime shows. It's all a blur. But the one thing, and you talked about you can't drink on the streets nowadays, but you can buy marijuana, and a lot of our listeners came high to those shows.
Right.
So it's better than it ever was.
That's why we serve so many hot dogs. But I don't remember this at all. And Todd reminded me, he brought it up. I don't recall it. Maybe you guys do, Bradley and Carter. But apparently we did a lunchtime show with Shake the Faith on Ash Wednesday, and the BCN broadcast the entire show. It's because Oedipus was making a statement about religion and Shake the Faith. Is that true?
That is true.
There is a recording of it, and my friend Chris Corkum, who's just checked in here, I see in the message notes, Chris recorded that show on a boombox and sent me the cassette many years later. So there's proof that our fan or listener or people were at home listening during the middle of the day to an all original band on Ash Wednesday called Shake the Faith, dropping the F-bombs and eating marshmallow fluff.
There you go. That's right.
That's about as rock and roll as it gets.
And of course, our friend Tank was the MC.
Tank.
He was, yeah. Right on.
Introductions. If I could just throw one thing out to answer what Carter mentioned about the cult and the guitars. So again, I'm in this band up in New Hampshire, and I'm looking for my next move and kind of figuring out that I had the same itch that Casey had to move from Vermont, move to Boston, become a rock star kind of thing. She Sells Sanctuary was literally the impetus. When I heard that after the early 80s and all the new wave and all the synth pop and the stuff I was trying to do with that band that I was in, and I hear Billy Duffy's you know, simple, beautiful, eloquent, and then just killer guitar playing. And then the rest of that record, Love, is just,
Yeah.
it just is what it is, right? I literally packed my car. And I moved to Boston and lived in my car until I met Jesse on the street through a friend and found Casey Lindstrom and, you know, listen to our first EP. I mean,
So you met Jesse at like 2 a.m. on the street.
yeah, your friend, your BCN friend, Jan Montecalvo, Janet Planet, was connecting people, and my band had played the channel on those new music nights, and she said, "Hey, my friend Jesse's looking for a roommate." And you know, one thing leads to another, and then I'm in a band with Jesse and Casey Lindstrom, and
Wicked cool. Wow.
So the cult at the center of that. So there you go.
Is this gig on November 5?
This in.
Is that a one-off gig? Maybe you haven't decided. It's
This
one
show?
one and done.
Joe Strummer once said the future's unwritten.
We don't know.
All right.
Yeah. Is there any music that people can get? Is it still available? Is it out there? Is it, you get it on YouTube, or is there anything that you can download?
That's
Let me check Spotify.
Fantastic question, Carter. Thanks for asking. I've been blessed with folks sending me stuff over the years. Casey had a VHS. Brooks Whalen, let's give a shout out to Brooks Whalen for One Way Productions, making our whole recorded life, you know, a thing. Brooks had some stuff. I've been able to remaster some stuff. Right now it's up on YouTube and SoundCloud. I started a website, shakethefaithrocks.com is up and going to be active. And then all the stuff is getting ready to go to digital distribution. So we will finally have a digital, footprint.
Nice. Are you going to have merch for sale at this gig?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Because us touring bands, that's the only way we're making money anymore.
Can I get a Shake the Faith koozie?
Yes.
You can.
All right.
Yeah, an STF map.
It looks like this.
Big and orange.
Yeah.
Okay, the big gig is November 5, Friday, November 5 at the Magic Room. And
hey, it's an early show, right?
Yeah.
Doors are like 7. We're on at something like 9. So old people will be happy, as I will. And but we're gonna rock the place.
Tell me about Billy Lost.
I was going to go there. Little Billy Lost, featuring Fred Bonneau from the Atlantics.
Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Hand.
Phenomenal band.
So get there in time for the opener. Doors at 7.
Absolutely.
Get there in time. Go.
All right.
I'm good if you guys are all good.
Hey, thanks, guys. Great to see everybody.
Shake the Faith, Chachi, Carter.
Thank you so much.
ShakeTheFaithRocks.com for tickets.
Oh yeah, let me put that up there. Shake the Faith. Well, I'll put
Great
it
to
up
see
later.
you guys again.
Great job, everybody. Thanks. So great to see you all.
Thank you so much,
Honored. Thank you.
See you guys November 5.
Bye now.
Get a blue drink,
You
Carter.
can get back to your blue drinks now, Carter.
Blue drinks, Carter.
Sorry for the intrusion.
Say goodnight to Charles for us. Sounds great.
Bye, Charles.
I have a feeling Charles might be sleeping over tonight.
Yeah, he could be.
Carter,
Later,
don't go
everyone.
anywhere.